Good morning and welcome to this the Jose Marti Technical High School parent consultation session. We're delighted that you would have been demonstrating. Your presence here today is demonstrating to us that indeed you do believe that it requires a partnership for us to work together, parents and school working together for the benefit and development of our children. And also, you are showing us that your child is a priority to you, because you made time in your schedule to come and find out about their progress and how it is that they have been performing and behaving at school. And so we welcome you to this parent consultation session. While you're waiting to speak with the subject teachers or the form teachers, this morning I want to talk to you. On March 7, the Minister of Education, the Prime Minister would have indicated that for March 7, schools will reopen with business as usual. Subsequently, we would have opened our doors, and it was quite interesting to see the sea of blue coming down the walkway once again here at Jose Marti as our students came out from all over back to face teaching and learning. The reality is that we would have seen different types of students coming out. We would have those who were diligent in being online, have been keeping up with their lessons, and yes, they were doing well online, but they are even more eager to come out for face-to-face and see their friends and teachers. We had another set who were possibly online, but not as engaged, because there were days they laid in their bed, turn off their mic, turn off their camera, decide when they feel like if they want to go to class, if they don't, especially if parents were not at home to monitor them. And so they may not have been keeping up with the schoolwork as they should. And the beauty about that situation for them was, teacher can't see me if he beat me or do anything to me. Nobody can punish me. And so for them, they have been inconsistent. Then we would have another set as it relates to learning loss, who may have been trying to keep up with the online teaching and learning, but online was just not for them. They had challenges, whether it was internet challenges just understanding, being bumped off the internet every now and again, not being able to submit work, not having electricity. Online school was just not for them. And so here we would have gaps in our learning as it relates to learning loss, because yes, they may be coming back, but you look in their books and you don't see the notes, you don't see the assignments. Teachers don't have grades for some of these students. And so that was another category of students that we would have encountered. Then there is the category of students who from March 2020 have not been engaged. They were at home, weren't picking up self-paced folders, were not online, they were just missing in action. But on March 7, 2022, lo and behold, dressed in their uniforms, they were in front of us. And so with these different categories of students, we now have to be adjusting our lessons, and one teacher has to be tailoring the lesson for all these different types of students that would be in the classroom. And that's just one of the academic challenge. But then there's also the challenge of socialization, or should I say re-socialization. So many of our children have returned to us, and it's almost like they're kindergartens all over again. They don't remember the importance of saying good morning and not just dashipayo, morning, good morning, miss. Or just the kind words, please and thank you. knowing not to speak when someone else is talking, not saying everything that comes to their mouth. And so within a classroom setting, a teacher could be teaching her class or teaching his class, and out of nowhere, you hear a string of curse words or an exclamation of an inappropriate word being said. Why? Because the person that looked on them one particular way. Or why? Because the one that take up them pencil. And so these are some of the challenges that teachers are being faced with. Then there is also the whole matter of just lack of respect for authority, lack of respect for adults, lack of respect for their peers. Punctuality issues we are challenged with. Not feeling like they are back in the groove to do the work. And so it's a tug of war to get them to do assigned tasks. It's a tug of war to get homework grades in and coursework grades in and projects in. Because previously, if you didn't want to do it, you just don't do it, and you could just lay in bed and not have to do this. And so many of them do not recognize that we are back to business as usual. Then a final challenge that we're having is the whole matter of students' behavior. Not knowing how to manage conflict. And then there is the whole matter of being a little too oversexed. A number of our children who have returned to us, a number of our students who have returned to us. I don't know what was happening while they were away for the past 2 years, but they have just returned, and they're overexposed, and they're oversexed, and we're having challenges with people showing up with ickies. This whole matter of just being too inappropriate with members of the opposite sex. And it is worrisome to us. And I want to say to you, parents, that in a lot of the situations, the initiators of these highly sexualized activities are the girls. Our female students are the ones who are now approaching the boys, commandeering them to do things with them. And parents, if on a day-to-day basis, we have to be dealing with all of these things, are you recognizing the small window that is being left for us to do the whole matter of teaching and learning? Maths, the English, the science, the social studies is being squeezed out because much of the class time is spent in speaking to the children about settling down, being mannerable, being respectful, completing your assignments, about not fighting, about not sitting in that person's lap because it is inappropriate. This morning, I want to call us back, parents, to being reminded of our responsibility. And in a lot of the situations, I know that probably some of these things are being done at home, and then they come out here and you wonder whose child that is. And then there are also situations where some of the homes you've allowed the children to take over. But today, let's take back our power as parents, as the adults in the home. I want to say to you that I fully understand. I know parenting is one of the most difficult jobs in the world. It is the biggest job that we'll ever have to do, taking care of a whole other human being. It is a 24 hours a day job, 7 days a week, no rest period, no day off, no sick leave, no vacation. Once from the very moment that child was conceived, and notice I didn't say from the very moment they were born, I said from the moment they were conceived, You became a parent. And until they leave the nest, and now they're leaving much later because they're moving on to tertiary studies. And for those of us who continue to support them through tertiary studies, they are leaving much later. But you are always going to be a parent. Even when they are married and they have become parents themselves, you are a parent. So I know it's a difficult job. I know it is a humongous task. And that is why parenting is not for children. And parenting is not for the faint of heart. Because so many things happen on a day-to-day basis that if your heart not strong as a parent, you have heart attack. And so parenting, it is indeed a difficult task. There's a popular saying that says that, when they're little, then tie up your foot and you're limited in where it is that you can go. But it also says that when they get older, then tie up your heart. Because sometimes the things that they do, the things that they say, the way they behave, it really does hurt the heart. But I want to say to you this morning, parents, that despite the fact that you may be a seasoned parent, I have 3 children and all 3 are different. And if I were to utilize the benchmark that I used to grow child number 1, who is now 19 years old, to say grow child number 2 or child number 3, it would not work because every child is different. And so you have to relate to everyone differently. The way you relate to your boy child is different from the way you will relate to your girl child. Sometimes the child who is number 1, who is the first child, behaves differently from the child who is the last child. And so because of their differences as individuals, as parents, you have to parent them uniquely as it is specific for them. And so I know we can read as many books as we want. We can attend parenting seminars. We can go to PTAs. We can go to workshops to learn. But essentially, it has a lot to do with the day-to-day, consistently reading your Bibles and asking the Lord for wisdom to help you to relate to the situations that come along with each child. But guess what? They're here and they're not going anywhere. And so this is the job you have right now, and you have to do this job. And whereas it is the biggest job and the most difficult job you will ever have to do, it can also be a most rewarding job. And so we have to stick it out with our children. And so today, I just want to share with you 4 principles that you need to bear in mind as it relates to parenting. 1 is that children are a gift from God. Children are a gift from God. It doesn't matter how they came into this world. It doesn't matter how you feel about them, worthless poopa. It no matter what kind of bad relationship between you and the baby mother or the child's mother. It doesn't matter how rocky the situation is in the family. It doesn't matter the community that you are from, the family situation that you live in, the family secrets you want to have. Children are still a gift from God. And this is a biblical concept. And I'm a church girl. I'm a Christian. And so I could not share with you today, parents, without sharing the philosophy that God has as it relates to our children. And so I take you to the book of 1 Samuel chapter 1 and verses 11 to 28, where the story is told of Hannah and how much Hannah wanted a child. And so yearly, she and her husband, Elkanah, they would travel to the temple, to the church, and they would give back at the church like a thanksgiving offering to say thank you to God for all that he had done for them throughout the year. This particular year when Hannah went, she spent some time at the altar praying. And she was praying so much that the priest thought that she had had a little alcohol to drink and that she was drunken. But the truth of it was that Hannah was agonizing and she was pleading with God to bless her with her child. And the Bible says that the following year, when they went back to give thanks again at the Passover for all that God had done, that Hannah was not in that number because Hannah had given birth to a baby boy. And coming out of that, Hannah was able to say that, God, you had blessed me with this child. And so I wanted to give this child back to you. And so I say to you, parents, it doesn't matter how it is that your children came into this world, the circumstances under which you had them. The fact of the matter is they are here. And each child is a sacred trust from God to be given a whole other human being to be responsible for. It's a big deal. And so it is important that you note that children are from God. They are for God and they are to be given back to God. So our responsibility as parents is to be preparing them for God and to prepare them to give them back to God in terms of the way in which they will live their lives on a day-to-day basis. But I dare to say to you, parents, that you cannot instill principles and values and morals into your children if you yourself first do not hold this. And so I say that first of all, you need to value yourself and respect yourself and set the example as a good parent so that you can be an authority and a model in your parenting of your children. The second point that I want to make is that you need to practice the best parenting style. Now, there are 4 parenting styles. There is what is considered the neglectful parent. There is the authoritarian parent. There is the permissive parent. And there is the authoritative parent. Now, it doesn't matter what type of parenting style that we utilize. There are 2 principles that govern parenting. The 2 principles are love and discipline. So we love at all times and we discipline at all times. And please note that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline is done in love. Punishment is done to exert authority. Discipline is done to establish relationship. So the child, the parent, both understand why it is that this action was needed. Why did I need to discipline you? A lot of times we punish the children and then don't even know what they get the punishment for. And so it is important for you to know that as you love at all times, that you also balance it out in being disciplined at all times. So the neglectful parent. This is the parent who is low on love and low on discipline. So this parent doesn't love the child, doesn't give the child any attention, and doesn't discipline the child. The picnic just left, I grow up on his own. If he want to eat breakfast, I feed business. If he want to go to school, I still feed business. If he want to watch TV till 2-3 o'clock a morning time, or when he have school the next day, I still feed business. If he have lunch money if he go to school, that's all up to you. Absolutely no parenting is taking place with the neglectful parent. The child is just left to grow on their own and do as they please. So that's one. There's the neglectful parent. I hope I have none of that in front of me today. And then there is the authoritarian parent. This parent is high on discipline and low on love. So this parent is just about rules, always ensuring that child, the parent must follow the rules. And if you don't follow the rules, then a purely kind skin. Open him mouth too hard, boof in him mouth. Don't do the chores, boof again. This type of parenting style usually results in our children becoming bullies, because when they can't retaliate and take it out on you at home, then come to school, come find somebody else to take it out on. Additionally, this type of parenting style also leads to oppositional defiance disorder. So those children who are very defiant and they have a problem with authority and nobody can speak to them. All right? And so that's the authoritative parent that is just about following the rules but does not show the children any form of love. Then you have the permissive parent. This type of parent is low on discipline, so for them pitney never do nothing wrong yet. And all they do is love. So they give them everything that they want. Please note I said want, not need. Everything that they want. This type of parenting say, well, I never get this when I was growing up, and I never have this when I was growing up, and so my child must have everything that I never have. And so they will give them everything. They shower them with love. They allow them to do as they please because they don't want to offend the child. So even though school is tomorrow and bedtime is at 10 o'clock, he's saying not ready for sleep. So maybe just leave him, make him stay up. Or miss, you can't just allow him to come in late today because he wake up late. I mean, never want to wake him up because he need him rest. Or miss, you can sit with her and allow her to have on a short uniform here because there's always an excuse for the child. And so you do not hold your child accountable. You just allow them to do as they please. This is a permissive parent. And this usually results in the spoiled child syndrome. And you ever hear so then come back and bite off your ears? Yes, this is what happens. But then there's also the authoritative parent. And the authoritative parent is the parent that is equal in the amount of love that they give and how they discipline their children. And this is the ideal that we want. So we don't want neglectful parents who just leave the children to do as they please and grow themselves. We don't want authoritarian parents who are always beating the children but not showing them any love. Nor do we want permissive parents that is just pure love and then there's no discipline and then that child is left to be so spoiled. What we want is for there to be an equal balance between loving your children and disciplining your children. The authoritative parent has an open, loving relationship with their child, allowing parents and child to be friends, but not to cross the boundaries. All right, so me never say, if your daughter go a party, you want to go a party with your daughter. If your daughter wear short up short, then you want to put up short because Miss Dennis did say, if you be friends. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about having such a relationship with your children that they feel comfortable to share things with you, and you can give them guidance as to how to make their decisions in life. In the authoritative parenting style, there is open communication, there is sensitivity, there is support. The rules are established, the boundaries are known, so the child knows who is the parent. Even though we can talk about things, there's still that level of respect because I know who mommy is and I know who daddy is and what they stand for. And so this is the ideal, the authoritative parenting style. So identify your parenting style, and if at all you're not in any of you're in the three categories that were listed first, then be intentional about becoming more of an authoritative parent. Authoritative parent meaning that you're going to love your child at all times and you're going to discipline your child at all times. The third point is that you need to love your children intentionally. Be intentional about how you love your children. Don't just take it for granted. Say, the husband and wife were in counseling, and the wife complained that her husband has never said that, doesn't say anymore, I love you. And the husband's response was, But me tell you at the altar, so me love you. And if me change my mind, more than tell you. But me not change my mind, so me not need to keep tell you over and over that I love you. We actually need to say it, all right? So not just because of your pitney, say, but I me give birth to you, so me love you. You know, must know, so me love you. Be intentional. Let them know. Let them hear the words healthily said, so that they won't get all giddy-headed just because one little Jay-Z's boy or one little dry-foot girl tell them say they love them and nobody's telling them at home, and so they get themselves in trouble because they are not confident at home, and so they quickly take up anything else others are saying around them. Affirm your child at home. Feed into them, pour into them. Let them know that you love them, that you are proud of them, that celebrate them. And so if they can have that level of confidence from home, then they won't come school seeking the attention. It says that children who are loved at home come to school to learn. Children who have problems at yard come to school to get love. And so a lot of times the challenges we are faced with here at school is because the children are doing the negative things because they are seeking attention and love because they are not getting that at home. And so I say to you parents, love your children intentionally. There are 5 love languages. Determine what it is that your child, the way in which your child wants to be loved. Is it physical touch? So these type of children tend to love the hugs and a rub back, a rub in the head, hold hands. They are physical. So that's physical touch. Then there are words of affirmation, which will make their whole world come alive. Just because you said, I love you. Just because you say, I am so proud of you. Just because you send them one text message. Just because you send them, you put a note you put a sticky note on the fridge to say, have a great day. Words of affirmation. Don't have to be any big thing. Just because you said it to them, they are going to feel love. Then you have those who are quality time. And please note, it's not about the quantity of time, because you can all be together 24/7, but still that child don't feel loved because you're there, but you're busy doing everything else, and there is no quality of time with your children. If you have multiple children in the home, set aside time for everybody so that everybody get a little time. And it don't have to be anything much. It could be that one of the child, maybe you're in the kitchen together, doing the dishes, doing the laundry together. So it's a quality of time. Making the effort to say, you know what, this evening, I'm going to carry you out for ice cream because you tell me say you get 80% on your test paper. Make a world of a difference for the child. And then there are those who love gifts. And it's not about big things, but just little gifts. Just the thought that today, daddy was thinking about me at work, or mommy was thinking about me at work, and so this evening I carry home one. Well, look at something them when they eat. One bun, what they name? Bun? But no. Just one little sweetie for them, or just a book, a pencil. These things make up a world of a difference. If it is that your child loves gifts, and then there is acts of service. If a child whose love language is acts of service is going to be so happy because mommy get up and make breakfast for them, or you make up a bed for them, or you know that the chore that they have to do is to do the dishes, but you see them come home for an evening, they're doing the schoolwork and they didn't get to do that chore, and rather than coming down on them, you see how diligent they have been at their task, and you say, you know what, let me just cook dinner, do the dishes for her this evening. Even carry the food, go give her, because I see her putting in the work. So that child will feel your love through your acts of service. And so it is important that you love your children intentionally. And so finally, that you discipline in love. And so, as was noted, that it is important that we love at all times, and that we also discipline at all times. And I would have said to you that there's a difference between discipline and punishment. Punishment is usually to show who is boss and who is in charge. It leaves the child feeling hurt. It leaves the child being ashamed. Punishment leaves the child sometimes confused as to what it is that I did wrong, and not knowing how it is that I can do better. When you discipline and you discipline in love, it establishes a relationship. It allows for your children to know what it is that you expect from them and how it is that they can do better. And so these are some of the key principles that I want for you to bear in mind as it relates to parenting. Parenting is not easy. It's not a job for children. It is not for the faint of heart. We have no days off, no sick leave, no vacation leave. And it begins the moment our children are conceived, and they are our children until we die or they die. Even if they get married and become adults and have their own children, we are still their parents. And so, as I said earlier, it doesn't matter how they came into the world, the circumstances under which they were conceived. It doesn't matter the relationship that you have as parents, how much like the man or how much like the mother. Our children are gifts from God. We need to practice the right parenting style. We need to love our children intentionally, and we need to discipline in love. And as I said earlier, that I know that it doesn't matter how many books you want to read, how many parenting seminars you will attend. It doesn't matter how many other persons you speak to. Parenting really comes down to your having to ask God for wisdom to know how best to relate to each child. And so I know there are times that they will do things that will be disappointing and it will hurt your heart, break your heart, but they're still yours, and you have to love them through these difficult times. And so I encourage you, parents, to pray. Pray for your children, pray with your children, and pray to God for wisdom to know how best to be the best parents that you can be. Thank you.